Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. How y'all doing today? Listen, if you enjoyed this video, you want to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. You want to donate to the channel, I'd appreciate it. Let's get into it. Look, man, Errol Spence and Thurman, I think that fight's going to be at 147. I'm just being honest with you. Pay attention to what's going on. Y'all can't tell me that all this silence, right? Right? There's this radio silence. Like, you can hear a rat piss on cotton right now. There's a reason why Errol Spence and Thurman and everything and everyone surrounding that fight has gotten quiet. There's no movement. No one's talking about it. The fight hasn't been announced. Now let me tell you something, right? I'm going to tell y'all right now. I'm just having a conversation. Nobody told me anything. I didn't watch a video. I didn't read anything. I don't know anyone close to Spence. I don't know anyone close to Thurman who's feeding me this information. I'm a common sense guy. I'm a strategic thinker, like a lot of you. And when I sit back and I pay attention to what's going on in boxing, certain fights where things don't make sense, I don't just accept what the media is feeding me. I stop and I start to really pay attention, okay? Now, I'm not going to rehash Suleiman being on the Boxing Voice and all that circus of an interview that was with Suleiman, not the guy who was doing the interview, but Bozo Suleiman, right? Not going to rehash that. But I do know this, and I think you, if you're watching this video, please subscribe, hit that like button, right? I think you would agree. Huge blowback from the boxing community. Fix this damn camera. Huge blowback from the boxing community. They may think that we're stupid. They may think we're naive. I tell you what, man. They may think that they could come and dress up an outhouse and try to sell it to us like it's a mansion. And we may be hungry for the fight, but that doesn't mean you can feed us a shit sandwich. Let me tell you something, man. Everybody, I haven't heard one person sit back and say that they agree with Thurman and Spence fighting at 154. I haven't heard... I'll even say this. I heard one person say they agree with Thurman and Spence fighting. No one. Okay? Now, we have varying opinions as far as if Thurman has a chance at the fight. But everyone has even said, if they're going to make the fight between Thurman and Spence, make it at 147. They don't have to agree with Thurman and Spence fighting, but at least make the fight make sense. So when you get that kind of blowback to where Spence fans, Crawford fans, Thurman fans all come together in a community effort to try to force Suleiman to make sense of a fight between Spence and Thurman at 154, things start to happen. So when they're sitting back quiet now, and let me tell you something, nobody can get any confirmation. And I got a buddy. I don't know if he wants me to put his information out there, but I know that he's trying to line up. He's trying to line up some interviews right now, and Thurman being one of them. And there's some things he can't get confirmation on. And I'm going to tell you this: don't be surprised if that fight's at 147. Now, people, when you take a look at it and you say, you know, why would they make the fight at why in the world would they make the fight at 147? Why wouldn't they? What all this crap about Errol Spence is trying to, Jamel Charlo is trying to hook up Errol Spence, and Errol Spence going to come up, he's going to fight him, and Errol Spence, man, that's all bullshit, man. That's not true. Let me tell you what the real deal is. People behind the scenes, right? And I think even Spence and Crawford, I think there's a an effort, a huge push that's happening behind the scenes to try to make, in a last-ditch effort, this Spence, this Crawford. Because so much effort has gone into it, but as a result, so many people are just tired. You know what I'm saying? And you can't blame anyone who was involved in the process from either side to say, you know what, I'm tired, let's just move on. But I think finally, what you're getting when it comes to the 147-pound division, you're getting a demand from the public. Not just diehard boxing fans. It's starting to get some crossover appeal here because everyone's talking about it. More so than just people in the boxing community. They want to know what the hell is going on with these two great welterweights. What's that guy's name? Bud? What's his name? So that's how I know people are talking. Now, look, the other thing, right? We know that there's some money behind it now. There definitely is some money behind it. They missed some huge opportunities. You know, we talked about that, Super Bowl and advertisements and doing face-offs and all that, you know, during the Super Bowl. You know, it is what it is at this point. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot more money behind this fight than before. Endorsement deals, you know, different sponsors, other modes of revenue. It's there. Because when you look at what's going on, I understand in boxing and politics and the corruption and how these undisputed fights, which should take precedence, they don't always do. I've always said that. But what you have here is something special, okay? You look at Devin Haney and Kambosos for that undisputed distinction. I mean, that's why it was held in Australia. I mean, how special was that fight? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an undisputed distinction. I love the matchup. I think Kambosos can fight and Haney can fight. But how special was that fight? When you compare that to Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. You know, those guys, depending on who you talk to, each of them can both be easily placed at the number one pound for pound. Can't do that with Kambosos and Haney. Beterbiev and Bivol. If that fight's not going to happen either, but if it does happen, you can give Bivol, you know, you could probably argue on his behalf that he probably deserves to be in the top 5, but Beterbiev and Bivol, who's arguing about either one of those guys being the number one pound for pound? Tyson Fury? Usyk? I don't know. Some would say, some wouldn't. But when it comes to Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, there's not too much arguing there. That even, doesn't matter who you're a fan of, if you're a fair person, you'll say, you know what, it just depends. That's why when I talk about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford and how I rank them in as far as the welterweight division, I say they're both the number ones battling for the undisputed distinction. Whoever wins will become undisputed. The person who loses will still be number one. Because that's the reality. If Terrence Crawford leaves, Errol Spence is still the number one there. If Errol Spence leaves 147, Terrence Crawford is still the number one there. Who really, at welterweight, is going to beat Terrence Crawford? Outside of Spence. And, you know, anything can happen in a fight, you know, but I mean, just, if we just be real about it, you know what I'm saying? Just what these guys have accomplished and their skill sets and what they bring to the ring, intelligence and everything else. Who really is going to beat Terrence Crawford outside of Spence? Who's really going to beat Spence outside of Crawford? Now, I'm not saying they can't be in competitive matches. I'm not saying stars can't line up for another fighter. But realistically, those two guys, they will elevate each other if they fight. And I think definitely there needs to be a rematch and possibly a trilogy, depending on how the rematch goes. But this 147, let me tell you, if the fight happens at 154, you're going to have a snowball effect take place. Because now Suleiman, who couldn't even give you a straight answer, now they can't possibly come and make no damn fight with Crawford, especially if Thurman beats him. It just makes it hard. It just puts a dark cloud over the event. And I know in boxing they don't care. They're going to do what they want. But at the same time, if you're going to put together probably the biggest fight of this era, right, for an undisputed distinction, right, the biggest fight of this era, why would you want to go into that fight with a dark cloud hanging over it? You know what I'm saying? So I have no doubt that we're going to see a little tweak to the weight for this fight and to all of those unified titles being on the line. I think it's going to be more than the WBC. I really think you're going to see all of a sudden be a change to the change. And you're going to see that change request that's submitted get authorized. And Errol Spence is going to defend his IBF, WBA, and WBC belt against Keith Thurman. It's all going to be on the line. Keith Thurman beats him. There's no dark cloud over the fight. No dark cloud going into the negotiation with Terrence Crawford, which I think they should be talking already. And then everybody can breathe a sigh of relief. They make an agreement, announce the fight, and then we're in cruise control. But if for some reason this fight still goes on at 154, problem, especially if Thurman beats him. These sanctioning bodies are stupid. Suleiman is not stupid. He's all about himself. He's got a lot of muscle. No doubt about that. But when the entire boxing community comes out and voice frustration and anger, I mean, you turn these fans into misanthropists. Wake up in the morning, can't even drink their cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? They take that hot cup of coffee, probably throw it on their wife. Get your ass out of here. Spence fighting that damn 154. Come in here and talk to me. I'm just joking. But it is frustrating. So let's wait and see what happens when they finally sign for the fight and announce the fight. Because right now, we know that's what's supposed to happen as far as these two getting in the ring. That's still a go. That's still a green light, my understanding. What weight they're going to get in the ring at, that's not a go. So I don't have anything definitive, but what I can tell you is when I look at what we have in front of us, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know anything for a fact. But what I'm going to tell you, being a common sense man, is someone who really, like you all, follow boxing. This catchweight thing. Look, this 154-pound thing. We're not trying to make a dream fight to bring, Andre Ward when he was boxing all the way down to some 154 to fight one of these guys. We're not trying to bring Canelo down to 154 to fight Thurman or Spence. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense to fight these guys at 154. No sense at all. It just doesn't. So, that being said, and also, I think we need to give Keith Thurman a little more credit. Keith Thurman's not thirsty. This man's set for the rest of his life. He's chilling with his wife and kid. You're going to come out of your dormant status, resurface, to become active for nothing? I mean, Keith Thurman doesn't have a chip on his shoulder towards Errol Spence. It's not a grudge match. Here you go, come out and fight. Yeah, they may give him some millions, but for a grudge match? Nah, that's not. Keith Thurman doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. And I do believe Keith Thurman I do believe the information I was told about Keith Thurman, where he said he's going to hold his ground and we're going to find out if Errol Spence is the truth. I just don't think he's going to want to do that in 154. Nothing about it makes sense. But that being said, more to come. I'm just asking y'all to have an open mind about it. Really sit back and look at this. Let's try to strip the emotion away. Take a deep breath. Blow it all out. And then say, okay, what makes sense? Because why in the world would sanctioning bodies want Errol Spence to just say, you know what? I'm going to move up to 154, drop all three of those belts. Now, the entire welterweight division has to reset. You will not get an undisputed champion at 147 for years to come. You know how hard it is to get a guy to have, in this four-belt era, 2 of the 4 belts, 3 of the 4 belts, much less all 4 of the 4 belts, with the boxing politics and nobody wanted to lose their O, nobody wanted to take less than their minimum. These guys out here wanting 15, 20 million, not understanding the pay-per-view breakdown. That money's not there. So when you get in a position like what Spence and Crawford are in, and even Thurman right now, it's an outstanding position to go on out here and get a win, whether it's Thurman or Spence, and go into an undisputed bout with Crawford. That's where the money is. It ain't gonna be going up there and resetting everybody starting over and getting these purse bids and minimum 500,000 and going up to 154 and resetting and starting over. The money's not there. But hey, I don't know everything. I'm just an old retired guy who loves boxing, likes to have healthy dialogue, and just like to have an open conversation and strip the emotion away and try to make sense of things. You know what I mean? We're just brainstorming here. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Errol, Spence, and Keith Thurman. I'm telling y'all, that fight's going to be at 147. I have a strong feeling. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But again, I don't claim to know everything. Just having a conversation. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.